Hey, we're live.
I think so, Gabe. I think we are. It looks like
Ha,
the streams are working. So, yeah.
okay. Oh, I'm testing here on the YouTube channel, and it looks like it is going
Cool.
out on the YouTube channel. Okay, awesome.
It's for
That,
those of you watching, this is an orchestrated event. So, we have to do lots of stuff on the back end before we can meet and greet all of you today. Before we get started, please let us know that these streams are working on your end. Either tag a friend who loves tattoos, tag your mom, tag your dad, tag yourself. Let us know where you're beaming in from because seriously, it's really cool and motivating to see the different areas of the world that we are touching base with. So awesome, happy to be here, and we'll get things rolling shortly. How was your weekend, Gabe, with the holidays and stuff like that?
it was pretty awesome. I mean, it's I'm not a very religious person, and I admit it. I don't know if I've actually talked to my therapist about how I got the Millennium Falcon taken away from me when I was younger, like 2 days after Christmas. But I don't really give a shit about Christmas. I mean, but my family loves it, so I like to participate as much as I can while being as secular about it. I appreciate the solstice because that means that the days will start getting longer, and as much as I don't know, I am kind of an up with the sun, down with the sun kind of. Anyways, it was fun to be with my daughter. We get her back now. She's off in college, and it is amazing to yeah, catch up with her after she's been learning so much there. And yeah, how's your holidays? Ha, I don't know if that was too much information, but
No, it wasn't too much information. My holidays were good, but I was starting to feel a little grim when I've gone my whole life without really understanding the history of what Christmas is to begin with. And my mother's mother is from Belgium, so
hmm,
I've had a
okay, so
European that Saint Nick and what if Saint Nick, but really like I was kind of bummed out when I really read into it and found out like this is completely like makes no sense as to what we're doing on Christmas. But I do appreciate getting with family. I've got my kids getting gifts and stuff like that. A bunch of cool little. My daughter
right.
loves art, so I think that we should do something with Kaya Aitchison and maybe like
Mhm.
an event for kids because I know my daughter has like all of her stuff ready to go for it.
Oh yeah, every once in a while that does pop up as a topic. And
Yeah.
way back in the day at the Paradise Tattoo Gathering, the very first ones, my wife and my daughter would lead up the actually classes for art classes for kids, and there was also babysitting and childcare, but they also had intentional classes, which was amazing, so that the kids would be able to like participate kind of the same ways that their parents were, right? So they'd see their parents go off to class and come back with art and talk about art, so they could do the same things. It's always pretty amazing to help that cycle continue. I don't know. So many people get told that they can't, make a living at art, and I mean, and most people can't, and it's not easy. And I mean, but on the other hand, if you look at other crafts and stuff, I mean, it's not, carving your own way anywhere isn't easier. Maybe as a painter, as an artist, it is actually more difficult. But on the other hand, it's something that if you figure out, you're in control of. You're actually creating the stuff of value, yourself, and the mediums, and the are the barriers to entry for painting and stuff. Like, I mean, it costs money, but it's not, the value that you can get out of creating art out of your own efforts and energies, without being super reliant upon lots of other people, can be very tremendous. And I don't know, so it's
See that
amazing.
that resonates with me a little bit, but I think the beauty about having like my kids interested in art is like for me, for example, I played sports in college and stuff like that. And it was super fun my whole life. I was in it, and then as soon as it started having money involved or some sort of like a job involved,
Sure.
the value of what I was doing just changed. So I think it's really beautiful with the kids to see like this is not something this is it's not really like a job anymore. It's something that literally that thing you're doing to avoid all your family at Christmas when you're just, coloring on the side or, that can actually be your
Oh.
entire life.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, and there's it's funny. I mean, you can see this in tattooers. There's tattooers that as soon as they make a pretty good day's wages, they're done. And then
Yeah.
there's other tattooers that just can't stop because they love creating tattoos, so they'd be doing it whether they were getting paid whatever 150, 250 an hour or not. And then there's other tattooers, again, they get their 500 a day, and that's cool. I mean, it's a great living, and it's and it does it's not, I mean, it's awesome,
Hmm.
that an artist would be able to produce enough value like that on a daily basis to make a living. And
Yeah, actually, one of those artists that really has a unique spin on like what drives her would be Amy, and I think we're going to be covering a little bit from her today. But if you listen
Yeah.
to her speak, she really focuses on connecting with the client to make it like a almost like a supernatural experience, which it kind of is when it's extremely important. But really noting like characteristics about the client and good conversation and such, making it like your art so profound and unlike anything else, which is really cool.
I mean, there's no other effect that, I mean, there are other effects, but there are very, very, very few. And certainly tattooing is unique in the sense that it's going to affect the wearer, the very, as it's, I mean, as it's being put on, it's affecting the wearer, but like then of showing it off and the energies that it brings about for yourself every day, for the client every day. Um, I mean, there's almost nothing else, if anything else, that will have such a profound effect. And so the tattooers that in particular are in tune with this, they can actually produce a positive effect that lasts every day, not only for the wearer of the tattoo, but for the viewers of the tattoo, for the rest of everyone's, for their lives. I mean, which is why it can get so jacked up, and then if people don't take that responsibility seriously or they don't understand it, you can make tremendous mistakes that are very difficult to fix. And anybody that's gone through lasering, understands how burning it out
Yeah.
from the inside, while possible, is not a desired outcome. Got a lot of people here in the chat room, which is cool. Thanks
Yeah, what's up,
for
Lou?
tuning in,
Thanks for.
everybody.
Do you mind if I roll the clip and then we'll check out
Oh
those
yeah,
comments?
perfect.
We do have to update the date on that clip, though, Gabe.
Oh yeah, for the
And
new year.
I like I said last week, I really do enjoy Mondays. All right, we're back. That was a lovely minute off. But yeah, I was thinking over that intro, how crazy it is to have kind of brought this to life. This is our 14th episode. So all of you guys, Lou, all of you watching, thanks so much for being a part of it. I'm curious too, like what types of shops do you guys work in? Are you more of like a street shop or, custom studio? Because I've seen the evolution of custom studios, like in my particular area, just go crazy in the last 5 or 6 years.
Well, and obviously COVID caused a whole nother rattle, right?
Yep.
And it's amazing to. I mean, I work as a consultant with a variety of different tattoo shops. Some that have been around 20 years and have 20 artists. Some that have been around 15 years with 4 or 5 artists that used to have 15. And I mean, ultimately.
Jeez.
Um, the shop owners who are always investing back in the shop are you can't create awesome experiences that are not replicatable in private studios. Now on the other hand, the amount of awesome tattoo shop owners or just business owners in general who are truly understanding of business and investing back is not necessarily like they're not the easiest to find. So it's often easier for a tattooer specifically to create their own space and kind of get away from all the drama and whatnot. But as long as the solo artists are taking efforts to make sure that they're still connecting with other artists and getting critiqued and seeing ideas, it's a trade-off. The private studios and where you have control of the environment but not necessarily as immediate access to so much inspiration and energy and whatnot.
I think like I always question like what is that thing? What is it that keeps a studio together for 20 years? Or I mean a shop together for 20 years? Because It's like that it factor that you just, when it's gone, everybody just kind of goes their own way. For someone like Jesse Smith, who I really admire and have for many years, where he talks about the benefits and the types of, or off the map back in the day when I was watching and paying attention. What is it about you guys that keeps you together over time, or not? Like, what can we recommend through, your life experiences to artists watching that would, uh, you know, keep the team moving for a long period of time?
It's clarity, is one thing. Although again, there's always exceptions, to the rules. Sometimes the shops that have been around 20 years, and I'm talking to them to help produce their version of clarity after all this time, right? It has to be, generally somebody that's at the helm, who really, really cares and actually truly loves business as much as tattooing. If you're going to own a tattoo shop and you're going to be in business as a tattoo shop, I mean, a lot of people get into it because there's very few alternatives, not necessarily because they've gone and got an MBA in business as a tattooer and decided to mix their two interests. Now that said, tattoos will attract an entrepreneurial type of artist often because it's one of these arts where if you figure out business, then you can do pretty good at it. But when I'm thinking about or like Damon Conklin is an awesome shop owner out on the West Coast for a long time. Carrie Barba's owned a shop for a tremendous period of time. Well, again, I mean, ultimately, there's a variety of people and they do it in a variety of ways, right? There's definitely the authoritarians. There's also the artists that have created the environment that they wanted to work in, and so they're attracting artists, that want to work in that environment, but they could hold people accountable. It's or there's people that just have shops where there's spaces for rent, and so that way the shop owners, are more, there's less responsibility. I guess ultimately the clearer everybody is at, reflecting upon what it is that they want to get it out of the art of tattooing, out of life, and you're clear about your mission, or if you can get clarity about your mission, clarity about your values, and again, not just as a lip service, business exercise, but I mean, artists have mission statements, right? Or a lot of artists have mission statements, and I don't know if people take that shit seriously or not, but if the people that do take it seriously, who actually have thought about what their mission is, mine's to amplify positive artists, to leave a positive impact, so all of a sudden when shit is hitting the fan and like everything is going nuts, I'm like, wait, you know what, the one thing that I talked about was just zeroing in on the mission. And anyways, so I guess the answer to that question is, ultimately there's personalities and a team of people that are all clear about which kind of direction they're pushing and what they want to accomplish, how they want to accomplish it. Doesn't mean everyone's thinking exactly the same, but it does mean that at the end of the day, no matter how tired everyone gets or whatever, they're all ultimately pushing towards the same thing. Because if people are pushing in different directions, then it's just natural that they move apart.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've seen it in my particular area. I remember when I was, let's say 2012 or so, there was like one or two, and now it seems like there's 10. And that's a huge increase in 10 years. Maybe even more of that kind of came from one spot. So I constantly ask myself, like, is there something that we could have done to keep everybody together as like a single entity that was more powerful, or is it better that each of them has the opportunity to express themselves in their own location?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I think it's a bit of both, right? I mean, this is where the free market is awesome.
Yeah.
There's going to be
Hey, Neil.
shops where people want to get together and inspire each other, and they pool their resources and their money, and all the artists. It's one of the things that's horrible to see is shop owners working tirelessly, for a studio with 5 to 8 artists, so it's going pretty awesome, but it's a tremendous amount of work. And then the artists, kind of getting used to the environment, but not necessarily understanding what's going on, or not having visibility over what's going on. And so then there's tension and like, why am I giving my cut to the shop owner? And then all of a sudden you've got 2 sets of people that are working pretty hard, thinking that the other's taking advantage of each other. Nobody's taking advantage of each other. You're all just working really hard with a couple of dots not connecting, or the communication not flowing the way it should. And I mean, so, and there we go, and therein lies there are shops where people don't stray away from difficult conversations. There are shops where people are held accountable, and or there's shops where everyone's clear that they're not going to be held accountable, but everyone is in alignment. And it's pretty awesome. I mean, and I think lastly about this, tattoo shops, in particular, have an advantage of long lasting. I mean, part of the lessons that tattooing teaches us, or part of the essence of tattooing, is something that lasts a very long time. And if you're producing an awesome experience with a great tattoo, then those clients, and you're communicating with your clients properly, then they'll come back, and they'll come back with their friends and their family and their kids. There's probably people watching that have had their grandkids come in for tattoos. Anyways, I think that's one of the amazing things about tattoo shops. And also, I want to pat everybody that owns a tattoo shop on the back, or all the tattooers that are working with each other, because it's not a trivial feat to do such high stakes arts on people, and get along.
Yeah, ultimately that's such a huge responsibility. So patting on the back for sure. That's just you're dealing with so many different types of people. You're managing artists that are your friends at the same time as whether they're not employees, or
Yeah.
they rent from your establishment. So it just it's super stressful, but like you said, it's just so rewarding. So yeah, as we turn into the new year, if you're thinking about something that's stressing you out at work, or if there's something that's really bugging you, I think the moral of the story is to talk about it, reflect on why you're both in the same spot anyway, and maybe make it through. Because we've all seen some difficult times and weird things happen the last 2 years. But starting your foot off right at the beginning of the year is always something that's been really good for me to do.
Yeah. Hey, so let's start speaking. I mean, it seems like a somewhat natural segue. If we some of the clips that I have one fired up here. We've been talking a lot about with a lot of old timers, right? A lot of wise old tattooers. Shanghai Kate has been on recently. I have a clip here of Phip Buchanan, the tattoo journalist at Jana. She did an awesome interview earlier with Phip, and it's really amazing to basically get these lessons and these stories straight from the old, the generation, the oldest generation of tattooers that's still here. And I do want to just use this as a subtle teaser into one of the new series that we just started with Kyle, is Bridging the Gap, where we are matching apprentices and apprentice hopefuls. In Kyle's case, he's still trying to get his apprenticeship, with the oldest generation of tattooers. So he recently interviewed Good Time Charlie on the channel. But like I said, I think maybe I could roll a clip here from Phip that was from earlier this year.
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay. So let us know in the chat room if you know who Phip is. And one of the things I love about doing these things is that there's so many people that are always like, the younger generation should know its history. And this is an opportunity for us to actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here we go.
In it for some reason, and I was working at a lumber yard at the time, and some guys came in with fresh tattoos on them, and I asked, "Where did you get those?" And the guy's name was Mike Luckett that was doing it, and he was doing it out of his house. So I just got more and more interested, to the point I had to get a tattoo. And then Mike Luckett came to my house to tattoo me at my kitchen table. And I was really more interested in doing tattoos than getting them at that time. And so I just had the one for a few years. But anyway, Mike tattooed me, and using a plastic stencil, he said, "Why don't you cut it?" And then I ended up borrowing his equipment, and he let me using a plastic stencil tattoo on him, and loaned me his stuff. And he said, "Oh, I think I'm going to go to hell for tattooing, so I'll learn it." So that's how I got my start.
So you started basically at home, and then picked up to working at actual studios, such as, where did you work?
Well, what happened after that, that was in '79, and I was just on my own, trial and error. I had an acquaintance from high school that lived right down the street by chance, and he wanted to get a lot of tattoos. So I was working in my kitchen trying to figure it out. And then I went to art school at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh in 1982. And there, through a friend of mine, Nason Gig, he knew Red Schuster, who was there in Pittsburgh. And Red he had a shop set up in his house. At one point, he was in a head shop tattooing in like a back room, but yeah, wasn't going on when I met him, but he had a room in his house, and he also tattooed at county fairs within about an hour of Pittsburgh. So in the summer of '83 and the summer of '84, I did that with him. And then a good friend of his, and who became a good friend of mine, was Duke Miller. And Duke did it too, where Red was really heavily covered with tattoos at that time. And he would take his shirt off and stand out front of the vet, and he was the barker, whatever you want to call it, that got the ball rolling. And Duke and I were in there doing tattoos, and Red had been doing it for 10 years already. And he helped me out a lot at that point, and so did Duke. And then at the end of art school, it was 1984. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I was way more interested in tattooing than anything else. And then Red was acquainted with J.C. Fly, that had J.C. Fly Tattoo in Medford, New York. And he put in a good word for me with Fly, and I ended up going up there. And then Patty Kelly at the time was my girlfriend, later became my wife, that we had met in art school, and she went with me. And then Fly was going to Apache Junction, Arizona with his girlfriend. Her family said, "Oh, they need a tattoo shop out here, Fly. There's no tattoo shops." Well, he goes out there, and it turns out it was a retirement community. So that didn't really work out.
No.
And he came back about 7 months later. And at that point, it was the three of us, and really not enough work there in Long Island. It was a small shop, kind of in a odd location, sort of in a alley in a little strip mall.
So we're in the mid 80s, more or less.
Yeah, well, we were at Fly's from fall of '84 to fall of '85. Then we went to Richmond, Virginia, to work for a guy named Gary Childress. He was a shop owner, but and our friend Frank Mills was in Richmond already and worked at a little shop for Gary, and he had two shops. And Gary actually didn't tattoo or anything. He locked into the lease, and it was called Creative Designs. When he had it, it was a house that had been transformed into a tattoo shop. And actually, Danny Fowler had it there before, and it was called Pelican Sunrise when Danny had it. And that's where Frank apprenticed. And my understanding is that Tom Beasley and Julie Moon, who later they had Dragon Moon Tattoo in Glen Burnie, Maryland, the three of them all apprenticed with Danny Fowler. And I'm pretty sure Danny's still in Roanoke, Virginia. And he came up, I think the name was Time Machine, was the name of his tattoo supply company. And he built machines and everything. And even back then, Danny was known as a good machine builder, and he built me a liner back then.
Gabe, yes, you can. I would like to show some of your photos from the past while we're talking. So, yeah, see, when you were a child, and then like I think when you were 40, more or less, based on what I read.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Gabe has a few more in there.
And yeah, so the full interview, obviously, this is the one of the wrap-ups, right? Although this show actually is always about the highlights. You could do a search on the Reinventing the Tattoo channel and YouTube, and the whole interview there is with the tattoo journalist. You could look her up online, the tattoo journalist Adriana. She's awesome. And Phip Buchanan, who is one of the old timers who was tattooing on the West Coast. There's a whole bunch of other history type interviews there too. So if you're interested, then yeah, check them all out, and definitely send your apprentices, your apprentice types. Lou here in the chat room. This is on the I think it's the Reinventing YouTube chat room. My mentor made it a point to expose me to the giants whose shoulders we stand on. I think it's a mentor's duty to make sure their apprentices know who paved the way for them. And it's true, right, these days with so much access to so much information, the skill set is really easy to transfer. And there can be a real imbalance with, the people that are putting and have fought, and to put the knowledge out there, to get the knowledge. If there's a disconnect between just the respect, then it's not as healthy of as a system as it should be. And you could tell the tattooers who make it a point to learn from and to respect, you know, you can see where the work comes. And that doesn't necessarily mean to like, you know, excuse bad habits or poor judgment or bullshit from, you know, the cultures of yesteryear. On the other hand, what it means is, well, definitely, again, there's a ton to learn, and you know, it's I don't know, it's amazing. Oh yeah, the Lou family. I asked Lou who some of those giants, and he says one of the one who made the first machine he ever owned, Danny Fowler, who is often like a legendary tattoo machine builder and tattooer that has gone around. The Lou family was also a big influence on his mentor. The Lou family is amazing, actually. Yeah, absolutely. Probably anybody that doesn't know the Lou family should absolutely be looking them up, and check out Philip, and the whole family's great. Yeah, so cool. Oh, are you there, Lauren?
Oh, sorry about that. I said, kind of on the topic, I'm seeing artists in their early 30s, late 20s now getting apprentices. And, you know, for example, I saw an artist in the mall recently, and I was like, hey, you know, this and this. And I think I said Mickey Violetto or somebody very common. They said, who? I said, oh, well, this. And it's like, well, you have apprentices. And if you don't know, like that's like a skipped generation now, you know, like that. It was just kind of like funny and alarming to me at the same time.
Well, it's really big, you know, and the tattoo world. I mean, one of the things that was, you know, amazing and unique about it is how small it was. You know, there was 25-ish people. I mean, there was 3 at one point. You know, Philip guy and Paul, and I mean, and Leo. Like, you know, there was, but you know, half a dozen, and you know, and before then it was, you know, small. And now there's like full movements. And I mean, I you know, I kind of joke, it's not even a joke, like there's whole like mini economies inside of tattooing that operate independent of, and it's beautiful, right? Like, because again, part of the old structure was definitely, you know, a bikery kind of outlaw-y structure, and now there's whole groups of people that are the antithesis of that could operate independent, like you know, you know, the minority inside of the tattoo world, you know, can have do their own thing with tattooing without needing to answer to anybody else. I mean, the empowering nature of tattoos, you know, not only on the client, as we talked about earlier, I guess, to, you know, as the wearer of the tattoos, but as the tattooers who are doing, I don't know, it's pretty amazing.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Times they are a-changing, but
Yeah.
But yeah, we were going to hear from a little bit from Amy, which would kind of like backtrack to the apprenticeship question, and that's huge. I know a lot of artists ask themselves, you know, about that in general, and information overload is, we're in the age of that, so we're starting to see maybe more qualified or less qualified, you know, artists come into the field. Well, maybe, oh, I took this seminar online, I'm ready. I think I'm ready for an apprenticeship. It's like, I don't know. That's what my feeling is. Just so much has changed in the level of information that's available to anybody.
Yeah, it is tremendous. You know, I guess, and it'll be exciting. Yeah, I had this fired up. This is an interview with Amy Nichols of the Apprenticeship Diaries and Guy Aitchison. They did
Cool.
an interview last year. You know, the last couple of apprentices that came through the shops that I owned, they were, well, again, there was a little bit of a mix, right? There was some younger people that, you know, doing hipstery kind of stuff, and then there was also like master illustrator types. Like we went to illustrators, not master illustrators, but well, some, you know, like illustrator types, and some of them, you know, with tremendous amounts of experience. And you know, I used to joke that I love to watch tattooing kind of spit out illustrators because it's so difficult, right? Illustrators would see the money in tattooing and be like, you know, you can barely fucking draw. Like, I can look what I can do. Like, I should be tattooing. But then, you know, it's a lot different painting at 3 o'clock in the morning with your headphones on than tattooing somebody on their time, their ideas. But the ones that mix, you know, the ones that actually have already understand composition, contrast, flow, and they have to adapt. The body is definitely a unique medium. But it's pretty amazing, that mix. But again, part of it is like, there's so many different types of clients to get tattooed. You know, that there's a variety of artists that can, you know, figure it out if they truly love tattooing. Okay, let me fire up this, and if you have any, tell us your stories about your apprenticeships in the chat rooms while we're watching this. Okay, Take it away, Amy, Nichols, and Guy.
And you cannot find an apprenticeship that is worth crap. Let's say you can't move because your ex and their kid are in town or whatever, okay? So that, in fact, I know of this exact situation, many cases of it. And so there you are, right? And you're learning on your own. What I recommend is try as hard as you can to develop connections with other artists, locally if possible. You know, for example, Steve Butcher, he's self-taught, but he ended up finding a couple of artists in New Zealand that would critique his work, would give him honest answers, were, you know, interested in seeing how he would develop and would comment. That's really important. If you can afford it at all, try to either get to a convention or go to an artist that you admire and get tattooed by them. You'd be surprised at what you might be able to get out of that experience besides just getting tattooed. Bring your portfolio, be prepared to tell them about what you're struggling with, the fact that you can't find an apprenticeship, whether or not you're willing to relocate. You know, maybe not start the conversation with that. Wait until they at least have enough time with you to know that they like you. But you have to not be shy about this stuff. You really have to put yourself out there. You need to try to make those connections. And I hate to say this, you will get attention from somebody if you are paying them $800 for a tattoo, right? You're going to have some hours of their time, right? And if you're sincere, you're coming from the right place, you're truly working hard to better yourself as an artist and develop these skills, they would rather see you succeed than fail, I promise you.
No, I think that's great insight. And truly, you know, it's I guess a point of a lot of abundance for me that I didn't recognize that, but like, that's a lot of what Tattooed Heart, like I said earlier, gave me, was that right away, they were really into all of you guys. And I got this amazing look at all of these famous tattoo artists, or at least growing tattoo artists, or they were doing really cool things. You know, going and knowing who Jeff Gogwe is, and you know, seeing you guys and meeting you and going to these events. In the beginning, a lot of it was, you know, going to seminars and stuff like that. So definitely, I 100% agree. Like, go to seminars, go to tattoo conventions, all of those things you can't be shy about. And again, I guess I kind of looked over it just because it was that was all the time at my dad's hair salon. Like, if he wanted me to be the front end person, which I did that job for a while, he sent me to a receptionist seminar where I got to learn all this different stuff about how to be a receptionist. And I guess it was just something that I negated as like, oh, well, this is what you do. Like, you know, if you're gonna go into a profession, you know, you go and you check out a seminar. And typically with therapy too, just FYI, when you go to a therapist, you're in this headspace of just flailing, you know, like you can't see beyond anything. And so usually with my therapist, she would throw out something that was so simple and so obvious to solve my problem that I just couldn't even see because I'm like drowning, that I couldn't even believe I couldn't see. But usually that was the thing that I needed to do, that I just needed somebody else to tell me, and remind me that like, oh yeah, I can problem solve this. So a lot of it is like hearing the stuff you kind of already know. That was honestly a lot of Jeff Gogwe's seminars, was just me kind of validating myself, being like, oh, cool. Yeah. Like, yeah, you know that, like, that's cool. Like, so a lot of it is just finding your own gumption and allowing yourself to not kind of get in your own way in a lot of things too. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a lot about the connections. It's a lot about having community, being able to ask those questions, even if it isn't directly there for you in a legit apprenticeship. I think that's essential. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we are going to have to wrap this up soon.
Okay. So yeah, whoa, Lauren.
Oh, it's me. There's a reason. In my studio here, it is very cold. I'm in Wisconsin, and I got like a little dump of snow, and I know Neil commented, "Why do I have to shovel?" And yeah, for real, it's the same here. Like 3 or 4 inches of snow just showed up.
Nice.
It's freaking cold.
We did have a white Christmas here, and which is nice. Well, you must be Wisconsin. You must be used to the cold by now, no?
I'm actually from Richmond, Virginia, and when I was like a little preteen, I came up here, and I don't think I've ever like fully adjusted.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm firing up here when Amy was talking about events and whatnot, and earlier you had mentioned the February 5th and 6th, we're heading over to Red Tree / the True Tubes headquarters. And so I'm firing up I hate to say it, I'm firing up the Instagrams for the lineup as we have it, because it's coming right up, February 5th and 6th. It's 6 weeks away. But what we have is, well, wait, do you want to say anything else about the Apprentice and Amy, or sorry, I didn't mean to just blast away.
God, I love watching Guy so nonchalantly speak wisdom, and that's just like something I've really enjoyed this entire year. But like, he's totally right. Get yourself in with other artists. It's a community. That's the absolute, and it's got such a trickle effect. Like 1 is 2 is 3 is 4, and find yourself inspirational figures to watch. It's just wonderful. He said it so well. So
yeah,
thanks for sharing.
Oh, no worries. And to your point, Guy is never not a source of inspiration, even when he's like, being human and thinking, not and having a rough patch, like the way that he stays on target, the way that he stays focused, almost specifically when he's stressed. I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll find myself, in a conversation with him and one of his inspirations, when we're doing like, I think the Android, I have Android Jones and Aja Lu fired up so that we could maybe either go out with that or play a little bit of that, depending on how we play this. But every once in a while it'll be, the tech, a part of one of these conversations. And I'm like, how does Guy know this stuff? Like he's talking on a really far level, on an advanced level, about topics that, in this case, I might not have heard talked about before. And I don't talk to him a shit ton, but I talk to him more than most, and for a long period of time. and then we'll get like 3/4 of the way through the conversation, and he's like, well, I have a client who is an X, Y, or Zist. And I'm like, okay. And, really, clearly really smart, discerning clients have gravitated towards Guy. And, and often it happens when somebody charges a lot of, when somebody is that hard to get a tattoo with, and they can pick and choose, often it turns into a really awesome clientele, or it could if it's intentional. And anyways, Guy has a really awesome clientele. And, to your point, I definitely want to make sure that we're thankful to Guy and for his direction, inspiration, for making sure that, no matter what's happening, the people that want to collaborate with each other and inspire each other have an opportunity to, and have these channels to do so. And it's been amazing to watch the reinventing community of streamers, group of streamers. I don't want to say family can mean different things to different people, but it's just awesome to see the growing community of awesome streamers who give a shit about tattooing. And I know that when we look back 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when our grandkids are able to like look back and be like, oh, look, that's what they were doing back then. They documented it. It's going to be pretty fun. So.
Yeah, you're totally right. Seriously, a Guy has surprised me so much that I think I felt my jaw drop. And it's just cool because, like you said, having a good clientele, like that comes from the work that you put in. And seriously, there's valuable people in the world that could really share some inspiration and all sorts of stuff. When you open yourself up to changing their life, they might change yours.
Yeah, there's almost nothing worse. There's plenty of things that are worse, but it's very disappointing to watch somebody get somebody like Guy or Bob or Ivana or Carrie Z or somebody, it was awesome's ear, and watch them shut it down or not get it or not be ready to receive it. And because often, it's a generous, least the really awesome tattooers that I'm running with, they tend to be very generous, and again, you can tell when they're particular, and they have to be particular with their time. But and that's why, like I said, sometimes it's just sad to see people waste that generosity. But on the other hand, it's also amazing to watch people run with it, and that's the beauty of doing this is a year, all these years later, we get to see the compounding effects of people like Guy and the people that he's attracting, inspiring each other every day. This isn't something that it's not something that people kind of have to do. It's something that they want to do and they love doing, and it becomes infectious.
Lou commented, and I really do appreciate all of your insight today, Lou. It'd be great to meet you sometime. He said, I think we're in a time where many people think they can learn this stuff online and avoid the struggle of an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But an apprenticeship is way more than learning to tattoo. It's about learning how to be able to do this every day and not lose your mind.
Yeah. It's true. It's so true. And we are specifically in that space between, or me and some of the people that I'm helping that I work for, they're in that space where it's like we can facilitate the knowledge to tattoo better, right? Like, so
Sure.
If you're tattooing every day, like you can listen to these, webcasts, and then certainly if you're paying for the professional subscriptions, then like you're getting all the insights and you can use it. Now, like, so you can learn to tattoo better, but you can't learn to tattoo. You have to actually have somebody there that's responsible for the skin that you're practicing on, and who's like literally there, showing you how to do it. And, because it's a tactile thing. Tattooing is tactile and it's high stakes. Again, it's going to be on there forever. But then there's also the space where like, but if you're an apprentice, we could help guide your art to be more tattooable, right? So it's like this really strange area where it's like, well, it's just a really strange area, but I'm happy that there's a space for it. And but to your point, there's no way that people can learn to tattoo, and it's so frustrating for so many creators that I know that see the YouTube and how to tattoo this and how to tattoo that and how to tattoo, like all those keywords are what get the hundreds of thousands of views. And I don't know any of the tattooers that are actually that can teach people how to like they're not going to go for those keywords.
I think
So
sometimes those types of artists kind of respond to those aha analogies. Like, for example, would you want a police officer learning how to police citizens online? Would you want a chef learning how to do this online, or a doctor? I mean, it's just kind of common sense. I totally agree with you. There's so much more than the tactical side of tattooing. You're dealing with people, and that's tough. I mean, you could be a wonderful artist, but your personality is not. You might not have the patience, you might not have this, and those skills can kind of be taught through other people that you would never get from a screen. You might get the inspiration, but being around other people like for extended periods of time is essential.
Yeah, and now that's
Without losing your mind.
while also recognizing there's plenty of fucking shitty shops out there filled with people that barely give a shit. So if you could tap into some real inspiration online, sometimes it is the outlet that people get. And, but again, part of the beauty of this is that sometimes the people in that situation will start engaging with, reinventing or, some of the events. And I mean, it's sad to see people bring back that inspiration and install, but then that often will force them to go and seek an environment that does foster it. And I mean, and that's where it breaks down. I mean, I can't tell you how many people leave Paradise events and then go and either fire somebody or quit, and again, so that they could find a place that has a similar mission. And if the mission is to get better every day, it's hard to be, one person that wants to get better every day when the people around you are, dragging.
I think that since this is our last episode of the year, why not like next week for you guys when we come back at Monday? Jake will probably be here. Maybe write down some of your goals or like some of those things that we can kind of like make it a point to reflect on. Some of those, like where you said it's an inspiration moment, aha moment, or whatever it is. So like, for example, Neil, Lou, because I'm kind of watching what you're talking about in the chat. Is there anything that you guys have been kind of harboring inside that you want to change for 2022 or make better? I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, segue into our next topic, which is Reinventing Live at Red Tree Gallery.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so stoked because it's an event that it feels like it's an onion or like a beautiful, wonderful cake. It's got so many layers of stuff that's going on. So before you show up that lineup, can you talk again about like what it is everybody's doing?
Oh yeah, it's funny. I probably should have the schedule in front of me, but I don't. Um, so okay, so we had it's Red Tree, so it's Derb's, tattoo shop slash compound. It's awesome. The warehouse is gonna have I think like 3 or 4 booths set up. So we
In
have
the
8 artists
warehouse?
in the
Oh,
warehouse,
that's
yeah.
so cool.
And he's got a stage set up, and he's runs Hell City, right? So he has the
Yeah.
tattoo convention stuff, and um, so let's see, we've got Bob Tyrell, St. Mark, Jesse Smith, Julian Marie, Nick Mitchell, Conan Lee, Renee Little, and then I think Nick Baxter might be beaming in. A couple people will be beaming in,
Cool.
and there'll be tattooing, there'll be art, there'll be some seminars, there'll be stage interviews and podcasts. Basically kind of, in a similar-ish vein as the Paradise BYOB, a smaller event with, based on professional development, but it'll be open to the public on Sunday night. We'll do an open house and do like a little tour of Red Tree.
That's so cool.
But yeah, it'll be, again.
What you're saying though is if you're not there, you can be there. Because I know I bring in my camera, I'll bring like a portable little thing and maybe a little something that I could literally bring this everywhere we go. I don't know. There's so many possibilities when you have cameras and the streaming capabilities to enjoy it. I mean,
100%. And I'm
cool.
I'm not sure we're going to be able to get the 360 cameras out. I don't want to give away too many secrets, but if any of my enemies are watching,
interviews and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know. I've been hopping on the VR, a little bit, and the ability to be in events is pretty fucking sick. And and especially for some of our events that are thousands of dollars or $1,000, a $250 VR headset, that's if it's a difference between somebody beaming into the worldwide conference or to maybe even an inspiring tour, and then being able to experience it from a VR headset from the comfort of their own home. I mean, that's actually pretty compelling too, and it kind of fulfills I really love doing these smaller events, these mini events. And so the BYOB, in this case, the Reinventing Live events, and we've done a couple of them with Guy in the past, or Guy's been doing events like this for over a decade of getting together groups of say 10 to 30 people for dedicated focused learning. And but yeah, so okay, so I guess in this case it'll be probably more like 100 people. And then there's going to be the seminar room. So 2 or 3 times a day, there'll be some seminars. And as I go through the lineup, I'll tell you a little bit about what I know. It's $25 for the 2 days to catch the stage and to do the Q&A and to catch up with people at the booths. The seminars will be between 100 and 200. And then there'll be tattooing. So if you want to get tattooed by any of these artists, then you should be contacting them immediately. And just knowing that, well, they're going to be looking for showcase pieces that, to show off in like these little mini events. And yeah, we're excited. We want to be very thankful to Derb and to True Tubes. This will be one of the first tattoo events he's doing at the spot here. And but he and Guy go way back. Guy's been tattooing him, and Hell City's been a good spot for Guy to.
Do you guys know, like, okay, Pineapple Express, if anyone's watching, that part where they're talking about the strains mixing, and if they met and they had a baby,
oh yeah,
this seems like the perfect combination. I love your ability to, produce all these shows. Derb is another character. If anyone's watching and doesn't know Derb, he's just been in it to win it, and that cycle has never stopped turning. So you got that, his supply company, Guy, all of these artists, just incredible. Like, I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, the actually thinking about that mix is what, well, for one, it allows me to actually do what I do, right? I mean, and actually, in many ways, that is not an insignificant part of how I spend a lot of my day, or at least a part of my day is, somebody was talking about how people who could predict the future, and it's like there's people like Guy, they don't predict the future, but they predict possible futures, and I mean, and not only do they predict it, they work really hard, to make them come about. And oh, I forgot where I was going with that one.
I don't know, but
futures. Anyways, speaking of predictable futures, this is
just a few more minutes we have. So
yeah, okay. So let's see. This is for the lineup for the Reinventing Live, February 5th and 6th at Red Tree. Bob Tyrell, he probably needs no introduction, but he has been a black and gray master for a wicked long time. And also just an aspiring tattoo artist. You know, he's got a great attitude, very humble, always loves to teach, and he's very busy, of course, in tattoos for tremendous periods of time. But you know, if he has the time, he'll take it. I mean, basically, if you could drink until the very last, you will definitely be able to catch up with him at some point. This is a poster. Fat did this for Don Fat for the Drunk Critique. Bob is also a Drunk Critique judge and co-host. St. Mark, who has been a awesome tattooer for a tremendous period of time. It's funny. It's trying to figure out how to be tactful by saying somebody's an old timer is pretty amazing. But you can check out his work here. I think he's been on some of the TV shows even, which is kind of funny. But you know, I've known of St. Mark's work since as a leader in the Midwest tattoo scene for long periods of time. It looks like he tattooed Jeff Goldblum here. That's funny. Shanghai Kate, who was interviewed on the channel recently, was also tattooed Jeff Goldblum. But,
That's awesome.
and oh yeah, look, there we go. Ink Redemption. He's probably I'm sure he's a bad guy on the TV shows. So, anyways, okay. So we've got St. Mark, Jesse Smith, who is again. It's fun to be catching up, and you know, one of the and to that point, to one of your points, you know, trying to figure out how to keep doing events with some of the same people and some different people is the different combinations produce different magic. And
Well said.
like this is one of Jesse's characters that an animator is putting together. And it's all, like I said, so sometimes I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to keep making people, you know, creating these experiences that change people's lives? And then it's like, wait, you know, getting Jesse together, you know, with Jillian. Oh wait, let's go to Jillian here, you know, who's another amazing tattooer who's got a unique style.
Gosh, I just adore her work, for real.
100%. So Julian Marie here. Yeah, look at this.
It's got like a feminine touch to it, and it's so bold and strong yet feminine at the same time. It's awesome.
Yeah, this I've been aware of her work for a couple of years now, and it's this is Healed. Very excited to catch up with her in person to see her tattoo. So she'll be doing you know, something that's a little more informal. She'll be tattooing in the booth. She's still a tad reluctant to do a seminar, but that's okay, because you know, the tattooers that are interested can go to the event, and they could lavish her with praise and kind words and encouragement.
You see in the comments there where, for example, Shannon, who follows her, says obsessed. It's really cool to be able to create work that is desirable by, like, you know, obsessive clients. You know, it's not like you're just creating art that they want. You're creating your own artwork that people are obsessing over, and that's what she's done successfully.
100%. They, you know, there's, you know, when checking out her pieces, you know, you're going to be able to tell that it's her. You know, one of the things that I actually, for better or worse, I do have to pride myself on is calling out pieces. So like if I see tattoos in the wild, I can often call them out, and she makes it easy, right? So
man, we should have we should do that competition or something sometime.
Oh, who did this? Yeah, we should. So the last time I did this, I was at a tattoo shop in Texas. And there was a black and gray artist. I forgot. Fuck, I wish I remember his name. Johnny. I don't even remember. But anyways, I saw the piece, and it was like it was a black and gray creepy piece with some nice highlights and white details. And I'm like, I was like, Jesse Levitt. No, it's not. It's Polish. It's that David with a J that Jackaria. Is it David Jackaria? He's like, yeah, he tattooed me. And I was like, I can't believe I was able to call a black and gray creepy piece from an artist from Poland and Texas. But anyway, so I patted myself on the back, and now I'm doing it publicly. I apologize. Okay, so Nick Mitchell hates you, although Nick Mitchell doesn't hate you. You can find some interviews with Nick on the Reinventing YouTube channel. He did a very popular and awesome seminar at the BYOB, and yeah, you can check out his work here. Did you catch up with Nick at all, or? Oh, did I lose you?
No, I said I might have caught some of it or it streamed in the background, but with Jake, super awesome.
Oh.
And you're right, when you have different people, different moods, different place, the inspiration seems to like, when you're all focused on a central topic, inspiration is like everywhere. And you just don't know with someone like Jesse who's constantly doing something like that animation, and then someone like Derb who's also doing that. I'm really excited, to see what comes next.
Hey, if there's tattoo clients or tattooers who are interested in collabs with any of these artists, or even just getting tattooed in an environment that is, professional development oriented, these are, they're going to be doing some pretty sick ass tattoos. Wow, I can't believe I said that. Okay, Conan Lee. So Conan's an amazing tattooer, also from the Midwest. 25 years plus now. He's got a sick shop. Geez, I got to get my vocabulary going. One of my New Year's resolution is going to be is to get a thesaurus. Okay, so we have Conan Lee. He's also a computer geeky kind of a guy. I believe that we'll be talking a lot about business and organization, and how he, as a single tattooer and also a shop owner and an owner of a digital company, can keep his tattooing straight. He has a lot of automated processes. And some of the stuff that I've been doing recently and talking about, he was doing years before, right? So years ago, Conan was like, I've got all these great, computer mechanisms to automate my whole life. And I was like, yeah, but I'm a tattoo shop owner who prides myself in having a support team that takes care of tattoo artists.
Can you scroll down a little bit while you're talking?
Yeah, sorry. And so anyway, so Conan's got a tremendous business sense. He runs the tattoo release forms app.
Oh, got it.
So there's a lot of tattoo shops that are running his apps.
Yeah, he's definitely miles ahead.
Yeah, he's great. He's an awesome thinker, and a great tattooer. He's taken a ton of the seminars, and yeah. Okay, so there's Conan. Let's see, Renee Little, who's doing the plein air and is hosting paint nights. Actually, I think she's hosting a paint night tonight at 6 o'clock. She's got a tattoo shop in Oklahoma. Was also recently on the Fireside Tattoo podcast.
Which was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, it was cool. It was all those interviews were great. It's fun to catch up to there. Oh, wait, I guess we were gonna have a clip with Haley Adams too, because she was at the BYOB. But anyways,
we might be running a little late on time possibly for that.
Okay, well, let's fire this up. Okay, so this is Renee Little, and then I believe, but this is unconfirmed, Nick Baxter and I think Ty McEwen might be beaming in to do some painting with us.
Cool.
So this is what's his perspective? It looks like there's a video here. So September around 2013. Oh, Nick Baxter. If anybody follows Nick, he's always been a tremendous thought leader in the tattoo world. Even when he was just getting into it, it was very clear that he was going to be doing some pretty crazy stuff.
Definitely.
Cool. And then let's see. I guess let me look up Ty McEwen real quick. Ty McEwen, and do I not know how to spell? Yeah, here we go. Ty McEwen. And yeah, they were hoping to make it up in person, but due to the nature of the timing and all this stuff, we'll most likely be beaming in. And if not, you should still be getting tattooed by them and looking these guys up, because obviously the work is exceptionally inspirational. And cool. Okay. Okay. Well, we're only 2 minutes past our time. I wonder if we have any last comments or.
Yeah, well, my last comment, I know that we have some people going in the chat, but my last comment is for everybody to kind of pay attention to what's going on in the next literally week and a half. January 4th is when things are just, in my world, the pigment world, when things really change in Europe. So, yeah, pay attention. If you do have questions and there's specific questions, you could maybe email them over or comment and we could address them if I find like credible, good answers to those questions. But yeah, definitely pay attention. There's a lot of changes happening and I am very interested in those. So.
And Lou was asking about some tattoo conventions. If you head over to TattooNow, I actually on the homepage there have a little interactive video where I list off all of the upcoming 2022 conventions, and every that Reinventing and TattooNow will be at,
Cool.
with the caveat that things are in the air. And yeah, that's actually just a cool interactive video too, which is fun. It's like a choose your own adventure video, and I've got some really cool interactive, automated, personalized digital marketing coming up, which is I'm pretty psyched about. But,
I know I
okay.
won't be in Boston, Lou. I think that will be in Tahoe that month. But yeah, awesome. Thank you,
gonna be-
everybody.
yeah, awesome. We'll catch up in the future. We have to get now we have to get ourselves an outro video.
An outro video. Yeah, that sounds great.
And then we need to get intro videos for all the other reinventing shows, and then blah, 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 blah. Anyways, thanks again for everybody for supporting us and I believe that this actually is a first full year of the Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel. So while sometimes we're watching other videos get tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of views on how to tattoo shittily because I learned on YouTube, we are also very understanding that the actual YouTube channel is very young. So we want to be very thankful for all the support. And yeah, if you ever want to beam in, there's plenty of shows to zoom into to share art with people. And please support all the sponsors and the events and each other, and reinventingthetattoo.com. Go and buy the course, the membership.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.